Well, folks, I was recently browsing Facebook Marketplace on the lookout for vintage model trains, which is something I do pretty often to see if there are any good deals in the area. However, this time, most of what I was finding wasn't very interesting or it was overpriced, so I was just about ready to pack it in on my search. But then at the very last minute, I stumbled across this massive lot of around 24 used locomotives at a listing price of $10,000. After having a quick look through the photos, I could tell there are at least a couple nice steam locomotives, as well as a bunch of cheap diesels in this lot. I also noticed that the seller actually only wanted 300 Canadian or around 225 American dollars for everything, which really didn't seem like too bad a deal. Since I live several hours away from Marilla, I messaged the seller asking how much shipping would be, and he said it would be another $30. I ran some numbers and figured that even with shipping, this lot was still a decent deal, so I e-transferred the seller. This is not something I recommend doing because unlike sites like eBay, there isn't much recourse if the seller decides to run away with your money. However, in this case, I noticed that they were members of some buy and sell groups I was familiar with and had positive feedback, so I decided I would take my chances. I went down to the post office a few days later. Lo and behold, the trains had arrived. Now, let's see if there's actually anything good in this lot. Well, here they all are. It's time to open this thing up and figure out if we've actually made off with anything decent. Hopefully there are trains in here and I haven't just been mailed some rocks in a box. I'm frankly amazed they were able to get 25 pieces of equipment into a box this size. But anyways, let's figure out what we've got here. So right off the bat, we've got some sort of a Canadian Pacific locomotive. This one appears to be a dummy. The seller said one of the Canadian Pacific locomotives was a dummy, so this must be it. You can see it's got the old Pac-Man style paint scheme. It's kind of worse for wear. Somebody's done a bit of custom weathering on it, but other than that, it seems fine. Next off, I think we've got a Via Rail Lima diesel. I suspect that one will run. This appears to be an Athearn, and it's a Southern Pacific. Also appears to be in very good condition. We're missing a coupler, but that's no big deal. Got another unbranded locomotive from Athearn. It all looks to be okay. Got two couplers on this one, that's good. The shell's a little melted. Hopefully the motor hasn't overheated. We've got our Lifelike Go Transit locomotive. I've wanted one of these for a long time now, and you know what? This one actually looks to be in pretty decent shape. These Lifelikes usually have pretty oxidized wheels when they've been sitting a while. The metal is just pretty sensitive, but yeah, overall not a bad locomotive. I got some sort of a Southern Pacific diesel. I've already got one like this. This one appears to be in very good shape. Got a Père Marquette tender from Rivarossi. Canadian Pacific tender, I think that is associated with one of the locomotives in this box. I mean, the front of it's coming off, but this is really one of the main reasons I bought this lot. Looks like it was a Baltimore and Ohio. Somebody scratched all the letters off of it, but I mean, this is just a gorgeous locomotive. It's a 210-2. Looks to be in terrific shape. So yeah, hopefully that one will run. Now right here is a really nice looking locomotive, but I don't expect much of it, and I'll tell you why in a sec here. This is a Bachmann GS4 Daylight locomotive. I've owned a few of these before, but this is one of the older models which uses a pancake motor. You can see it's located right up there. These are notorious for having axles which split, and when they do, the wheels become unquartered, so it basically causes these things to seize up. They're very unreliable. It's quite rare you see these things going, so a new one of these is worth, over $100, but these older ones from the 80s, I don't like to pay much for them, so that's why I only listed it as $30. Maybe we'll be lucky with this one and it will be a runner, but I do not have high expectations for it. So yeah, that's just something to bear in mind with these 80s Bachmann steam locomotives. I guess we got some decent parts. I don't know. We'll see what we can do with that one. Yeah, we got an old Bachmann F unit. A little bit of damage here and there. Overall, not too bad. It actually looks like it might have a slightly different drive than what I'm used to. Yeah, check that out. It's actually got a can motor, so it's not a pancake drive. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I got a nice Conrail SD40-2, I believe it is, from Mahano. I've got the Canadian National version of this locomotive. They're not the quietest engines out there, but these old AHMs are actually quite reliable. Really, the only part that fails on them is the motor. We've got a Canadian National locomotive. Now, I thought that this was an old Bachmann in the listing, but you know what? This is actually by Kato. So, wow, that's a very good value for your money. You know, the locomotive like this is probably worth $60. I can't believe I didn't notice that a lot. I think this is an SD40-2. Don't quote me on that, but these are terrific runners. Kato locomotives are fantastic. They run for a very long time. Super reliable, super smooth. So yeah, what a lucky find. I really was not expecting that. This is way newer than most of these other engines here, so that's pretty cool. I think right here we got another lifelike unit in the Rock Island paint scheme. Overall, not a bad looking locomotive. Yeah, this is an old Athearn locomotive. I think this is a locomotive rental company, the GATX. I've seen some of these out rail fanning, I believe. And overall, this one appears to be in pretty good shape. I mean, we are missing some handrails, but these old Athearn blue boxes, I've said it a million times, but I'll say it again. These things are like tanks. They last forever, so I have no doubts that that one will probably run. Now, here is one of the reasons I wanted this lot. This is a Mahano number 6060. I've had one of these since I was a kid. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have its tender, so that's why I priced it so low. It also has a little more damage than I thought. But these are very reliable locomotives, and I'm sure we can get this one running if it's not. Okay, this is something else I didn't notice in the listing. Somebody painted up this old Pennsylvania Railroad locomotive. That's a little unusual, but it's an Athearn. Other than the weird paintwork, it looks to be in pretty good shape. Got a Pennsylvania Railroad dummy locomotive. Here's another Athearn. This one's a little bit newer than the other ones. Looks to be in great shape. And here's that little Lima 040. I believe that went with this Canadian Pacific locomotive here. Here was one I was really curious about. It's an old Athearn of some sort and looks maybe like it was supposed to be a Canadian National locomotive. It's missing a lot of parts, but yeah, we'll put it on the track. We'll see if it will do anything. We got some sort of a B&O locomotive. This is another AHM. You can see the logo right there. Looks to be in okay condition. We got a Lima 040. Something's gone very wrong with this locomotive. I don't know if the motor failed or if the light burned it, but yeah, there should not be a hole in the plastic right there. So that one might need some work. And then I think we've got two more locomotives in here. There's another B&O locomotive. This one is a dummy. It wasn't originally. This was definitely a powered model at some point. Finally, I think this is a Bachmann Canadian National. I think this is one of the old pancake drive models. Yeah, we'll try to work on it. I listed this one, I think, as a $5 engine or something like that. You don't want to be paying a lot for the old pancake drives. So anyways, now that we've got all these locomotives out of the box, I think we should take them all over the track and see if any of these things will start. All right, well, I've got them all laid out, ready for testing here. I decided to set the two dummy locomotives off to the side because I really don't see the point in trying to test those out. But as for the rest of them, let's go through them all and see if we've got any runners. I guess we'll start off with the Lima 040. I'm guessing that this one is going to start. This is a very simple locomotive, so there's not very much to go wrong. So we'll give it some power and see if it will fire up here. And yeah, no problems. Look at her go. And let's see if we got reverse. Yeah, piece of cake. That's a nice start. So let's move on to the B&O locomotive. I think this one's got a decent chance. Like I said earlier, the motors on these AHMs are a little bit questionable, so that might have gone wrong, but other than that, I think it probably will start. We'll give it some power here. Fires right up. Well, that one doesn't seem half bad. Next, we've got the Canadian National Kato SD40-2. I'm like 99% sure this one is going to start. These Katos are very reliable, and this is a fairly modern locomotive, so yeah, no problems. Yeah, super smooth too. This one's got directional lighting. Next off, we've got the Athearn F unit. Despite how bad this thing looks, I'm pretty sure it's going to go. These Athearns have a terrific reputation for being long-time runners. And yeah, this one's no exception. Okay, I got a bit of a derailment, but that's all good. Yeah, so something seems a little off with the rear truck, but that's really no problem. You can see it's just not pivoting perfectly, but I'm sure we could fix that. Some of these things just get a little jammed up if they get loose. Yeah, I got the GATX locomotive, another Athearn. I'm pretty confident that this one is going to fire right up. Yep, got forwards and reverse, no problems. Southern Pacific switcher, the rest is kind of explanatory since it's an Athearn. Yeah, we're having pretty good luck so far. Now, this one's a Mahano. These are very good locomotives, but since this one's in such rough shape, I'm not so sure about it. I shouldn't have underestimated it. Definitely stuff wrong with it. I mean, you can hear it making a bit of a funny clicking noise, but still, I definitely call that a runner. This one's a dummy as well. I forgot to take it out. Pennsylvania F unit. It's by Athearn. And if we give it some power... Ooh. That is completely seized. So it's getting power. It probably has good motor, but something is locking that up. That's kind of weird. I'll have to open that one up at some point. Here we got the Lima switcher. Now, typically I would say this one would probably start up, but given what's going on with the shell, I'm thinking something pretty bad has happened to this locomotive, so I'll be surprised if it runs. Huh. Well, that is very unexpected, and it's got a working headlight too, so I don't have a clue what went wrong here, but the headlight and motor both seem to be functioning somehow. It's kind of remarkable. Anyways, got another Athearn locomotive. This one looks sort of rough, so I'm a little less sure about it. Let's give it a chance. Ooh, yeah, we're completely shorted. That one's not going to go. So it's got some sort of a short circuit. Probably not a big issue, but given, I don't know, just the cosmetic condition, I think that that one is going to need a little bit of TLC before it can ride the rails. Got the Lima Via locomotive. I think that this one has got a pretty promising chance at starting up. Oh. Yeah, no problem. That's got lots of life in it. Yeah, maybe a little wheel cleaning and some oil would do it some good, but overall, not a bad runner. Got the Conrail AHM, and I believe this one is an SD40-2. And it is in fact a runner. The lights are flickering a bit. All of these engines could probably use a little bit of cleaning, but so far we've been quite lucky. As far as this one goes, I really don't know what's going to happen. This is probably one of the roughest ones in the lot. Huh. Well, that's surprising. No problems. I think this one's going to go. That is weird. Sounds like the flywheel is like spooling up, but it's loose. You hear after I shut the locomotive off, it's not moving, but there's still something running inside it. That is very weird. I've never seen that before. Huh, well, definitely have to open that thing up and investigate it. Anyway, we've got practically an identical locomotive. I wonder if it's going to have the same issue. I mean, it runs, but something's definitely not quite right about that. Yeah, it's got the same issue. I wonder if somebody modified these with some sort of a clutch. I've seen that a couple times before, just never on an Athearn. Anyways, now we got the Bachmann Daylight. I really don't know about this one. As I was saying earlier, these things are not reliable. Usually if they have a quartering issue, you actually see it on the sides. The drivers will be kind of bent out of shape. This one doesn't have that, so it's got some sense of a chance, but I don't know. Well, I will be darned. Let's try it in the other direction. Yeah, okay. That's unfortunate. It's got the problem. You can see right here that it's locking up and not going, and yeah, the wheels are starting to do some funky things. You see how it's kind of bent like that? So this one has the problem that all of them do. I guess we'll try to fix it. It is kind of a pretty locomotive, but really no surprise there. It's right in line with what I was saying earlier. Anyways, we got the Go Lifelike locomotive. I think this one's gonna start. Yep. No problem. It's got plenty of life in it. Bachmann F unit. This one has a can motor. Oh, that one actually runs really well. Wow, it's amazing how much quieter this style of locomotive runs with a can motor. As far as old Bachmann locomotives go, this one actually seems very good. Got the Rock Island one. I'm not so sure this one's gonna start, but let's give it a chance. It might start if we kind of nudge it enough. Yeah, there we go. Well, it's pretty rough, but it just goes to show you. Use that little technique, you just keep them moving, and eventually these old Lifelikes usually do power through. So with that one basically being a runner, we're now down to the River Rossi. I'm really not so sure if this one's going to start. Now, to be fair, I think we do have to hook up a tender to this one because it picks up half its power from one rail through the drivers, the other half through a tender. So we'll get a tender and give this thing a fair chance. All right, moment of truth. Giving it some power, nothing so far. Oh. Oh yeah. Yeah, we definitely got a runner with this one. I think it needs a little bit of cleaning, but that's not half bad. Seems pretty steady. Headlight doesn't seem to be existent, so that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, overall, not a bad locomotive. A little bit of work, this definitely could be a fantastic one. I'm so happy to have added it onto the collection. So yeah, overall, I would say this was a pretty good lot. I mean, we got a few duds in here, but in comparison to some other stuff I've bought, this is nothing. You know, we made off with a lot of goldies in here, so that's great. There's a whole bunch of these too. I can't wait to add to the collection, but I'm gonna have to go through them all. I don't intend to hold on to every single one of them, especially some of them that I have duplicates of. So I was kind of thinking of doing some sort of a giveaway and giving them out there to one of you. So if you want to be entered in that giveaway, just leave a comment on this video and I'll do some sort of a random draw. Just as long as it's like a savory comment, you're all good to go. Please beware though, there's a lot of scams going on right now where people respond with fake accounts saying you're the winner, try to charge you for shipping or something like that. I don't charge people for shipping or anything like that when I do giveaways. So if you get a comment like that, ignore it. It's a scam. I'll sort out the giveaway details with whoever wins it. So yeah, but anyways, until then, I just want to thank you all so much for watching.